Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the Technical Trader at TheTechTrader.com. It's Saturday morning, July the 13th. This is the weekend webinar. Very eventful week. When everybody thought the market was going to collapse, it had a pretty solid end to the week and a pretty solid performance. If you look at the S&P, market was up 7 days in a row before Thursday when it finally had a reversal day, but right back up on Friday, make a new all-time high. We tagged 56.55, finished 56.15. It's still up about 31 points or 0.5%. If you take a look at the long-term chart, right now, it's trending towards 6,000. Now, I don't know if it gets there. The market could still come down next week. Watch Thursday's low of 55.75.6 area. We break that, we may come down to 54.90, 55 or worse. We have a long uptrend that's been in place since November when we were down at 4,100 and we made it to 56.55. 1,500 plus points. Any way you look at it, it's about 35% just since November. Fantastic rally. Are we due for a pullback? Of course, but it doesn't mean momentum can't take it higher. That's the S&P. Here's the NDX. NDX also had that big reversal. Watch Thursday's low at 20,165. But right now the trend is your friend. The trend is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this looks like a 1, 2. I can't tell yet. Either we are finished with it here and we roll over, or we extend dramatically sharply higher, and I mean quickly, in the next few days to get up to 21,000 or thereabout. On a longer term basis, you can see the long term chart is angling, believe it or not, towards 22,000. Now, I don't know we get there. Obviously, the market's extended, but it's one of the best rallies in history. I'd say we are definitely done if we go under 19.5. But we'll see. What's the surprise last week? How about the two lagging indicators, the two lagging indices, which really were worrying me, just completely spiked back up again. I look at IWM, which is small caps. Stellar day. I can tell you that I watched several small cap stocks. I owned a couple that had spectacular weeks. One went up 50% in a week, and some of them doing better than that in a day. So you can see that breakaway gap, which is really impressive when you see the IWM consolidating for 6-7 months and maybe forming a left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Remember what I talk about when I say head and shoulders are not head and shoulders until they break to the downside through the neckline. This is a coil, a wedge, whatever you want to call it, but it broke out with a breakaway gap, and it gapped again Friday and basically went from 201 to 215, 14 points. Massive move for the small cap index. It went from like 1% to 6% for the year. It's just in a week. Pretty amazing move. And if you think that's good, look at the transportation index. We also broke out, pulled back, and then Thursday, Friday were spectacular days. Transportation went from under 15,000 to 15,638. Now that pattern that looked like it was a down channel broke, retested, moving averages crossed over. This looks very bullish. But on the other hand, you have triple top resistance up at 16,275, and then you have that one there too. So work to do there, but on a long-term basis, it's still a massive move. And on a long-term basis, if we go into major blow-off bull market, we could be 18,000 on this. And I don't think that's going to be the case, but I'm just giving you projections based on channel angles. So those look much better, particularly the transportation. If you thought the S&P and NDX look good, the transportation index, and particularly the small caps. Now, I also will say this. In my 55, 60 years of experience in the market, my experience is that the tail end of every bull phase, that's when small caps start to fly because the other stocks are overvaluated. And that's one of the reasons why the NASDAQ 100's generals are coming down and tech stocks in general leading the market, or at least coming down, putting pressure on the market. But there is a rotation going on. Looks like into biotech. Let me show you this. LABU went vertical last week, broke through resistance. It's been up now for 6 days in a row, having gone from 104.5 to 141. A big move for the biotech index and a breakout across multi-month base pattern. Look, this could extend, and if it does, it could drag the market with it. But financials also had a good time of it, breaking out across resistance as well, and moving from about 102.5 to 111. And there is double, triple top resistance there at 112 and change, so we can get to that, and we're not far from it. That would be real bullish for the market, with financials leading the way. Obviously, the economic news that came out last couple of days in terms of inflation was stellar. and that led the market to press the shorts. Okay, so that's where we stand. It is not as bearish as it looked a week ago, that's for sure. Things have changed pretty dramatically. Now let's look at the underlying technical indicators. Now, the McClellan oscillator finally had a spike when we thought advanced declines and up-down volume take off Thursday, Friday. But look at this, 1, 2, 3 gaps in a row. I haven't seen that in a long time. A very, very bullish thing in a way. But we breakout gap, running gap, exhaustion gap, maybe. We're up in a zone now, right about there, that's seen the market back off over the last year, year and a quarter, many times. But if you take a look at where we got to before that, we reached 225, 35, 50 up in that zone there. That's where the market really becomes overbought. And going back even further, you'll see plus 250 or better. We even reached way more than that. Take a look at this. The highest I've seen ever is 377. That was in 2012. But for now, let's just consider that this zone up here near 240.50 is extremely overbought market. Now, are we overbought? Yes. Are we extremely overbought? Getting there. Not quite there yet, in my opinion. Doesn't mean the market can't back off right here. And we very well might after last week's rally, but stay tuned. We're going to find out. The percentage of stocks participating certainly had a big spike. I mean, if you remember just a week ago, I was talking about 30, 35%, or 1/3 of stocks were above their 40, not good participation. But now, 4 out of 5, let's see, 3 out of 5 stocks are now above their 40. And that's a massive move, particularly on Thursday. Look at this pop. This index went from 34 to 56 in a day. That's rare to see that. We had one there, which led to higher levels. I'm expecting this to get to 70, 75, 80 before it's over. So we may be just in front of us about to experience a blow-off. We'll see. Either way, the market can have a big move, I think. But right now, 2 out of 3 odds that we actually extend this, get this up towards 70 or 80 on the percentage of stocks above their 40. What about the VIX? It's getting there. We were looking at historically where the VIX has been, and over the last 6 years, the low level was where we're at right now. And prior to that, we got down to single digits. In 2017, we were down to, I think at one point we reached 8 and change. Well, now the low is 950. So we're down at 1246, and recently we reached 20 in the low 20s. So this is a pretty, what I would call, indicator of market apathy, tending to get to a point where the market gets overbought. But you may see this down around 10.5 or lower before that occurs, or even single digits. All right, so that's a look at the indices and the underlying technicals. Let's look at the major players. Very impressed with Apple. What a move it's had off this pullback low just in April, trading down to 164 and change, blow out to 233. That's almost 70 points. To get that kind of a move on Apple is amazing. Through a double top, it exploded, falling wedge and a breakout. Now, based on the angle, which is hard to ascend, or hard to maintain, I should say, this ascending channel says we could be 250, give or take. So if we do get a blow off, I wouldn't be shocked to see Apple up there. Amazon's kind of the weak sister right now. Even though it's strong long term, the last 3 days haven't been pretty, and it's right on support. You may want to note the April and May double top was broken with that spike up, and since then a little bit of a coil that then came down. For me, the key support is 184.5. 187 is important as well, but the near-term support is 192.5. Keep an eye on that. Google also had a tough last couple of days, and as you can see, the NASDAQ Generals did not do great. This one hit a new all-time high on Thursday at 193.31 and backed off to 186 and change, but still at a lofty level. And I think it's going to have to come down at least under, let's call it 181 for this to be in much weaker shape. Microsoft also topped up 3 days, making a new all-time high at 468, backing off 15 points. Now there's near-term support at 445, and the big one across here, in my opinion, where the is about 431, 32. Netflix also having a tough time of it, and you can see that's why the market was under pressure. Even though on Friday the market was up as strong as it was, there were several stocks like Netflix making lower lows. Netflix goes under 625, I think you got a problem, and under 600 to 605, it's broken. Meta had a tough couple days too. They're spiking up to a new all-time high at 542.81. It quickly backed off 48 points, and now it's resting right on some price support and 50-day moving average support below the trend line. This is dangerous here because if it cracks under 480.85, it could just fall apart. So I'm giving you a last sign of caution that the NASDAQ leaders are having a tough time with it. Let's look at NVIDIA, which did recover after having a reversal day Friday. But take a look at the overall pattern. It's still a long, beautiful from this base pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if there's going to be one more blowout wave to the market, I think NVIDIA could lead towards 150, 55. Keep an eye on this next week and watch the 125 level. And then below that, the 121 level. Under 118, sayonara, NVIDIA. That's what I take. That's my take. Tesla, Star, other than Friday's reversal, Thursday's reversal, it came back nicely on Friday. I'm watching the TSLA and some of those other tracking stocks as well. But you can see, we talked about this inverse head and shoulders and the bottom with the right-hand extended coil to break out the mini wedge here. I'm not surprised it went vertical, but that was a pretty impressive performance. Going from 179 to 271, 92 points in about 6 days. Very impressive. Note where it backed off of, its prior highs up in here. Now, this hasn't really broken out yet, but that was a very impressive reversal day Friday. A couple others we don't follow often, but look at AMD. It's right there at resistance, and it broke out above the moving averages. I'm impressed with that one. I'm also watching AMDL, the tracking stock. Intuitive Surgical, which is a NASDAQ 100 component, all-time highs. We don't often look at that, but it is. Chipotle is having a tough time of it, folks, and this is one I want you to be careful. We don't talk about this too often, too. But after this, what was it, a 10-for-1 split or something like that? This stock has now come down from 69 to 56 and is broken technically. It's at secondary support, but it's below the 50 for the first time since last October. Very dangerous looking chart to me, CMG. You may want to consider a short on that one. All right, anyway, so that's enough of the NASDAQ 100, some of the components in NASDAQ 100. A lot of stocks to talk about. Let's get to it. ABUS, this little junior biotech, has been phenomenal from $1.70. It's doubled to $3.70, almost $3.64. Came down, tested the moving average and trend line, and I was right back up again. My target, 4.75. ACHR, nice recovery, breaks through the declining tops line. Secondary moving averages, keeps going. Right now your target is 5.75, 6.75. ADMA, a beautiful junior bio, has gone literally from 3 to 12.75, fourfold, just since October. Looking at the long-term chart, you can see that it's at its all-time high going back 10 years. So could be some resistance up here, but a phenomenal chart. AEHR, after we've talked about the head and shoulders there in the breakdown, it did a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave decline, built a nice base, had a breakaway gap. We put a swing on it. For the last 2 days, it's sitting here flagging. If this gets above 16.5, I'm looking for 18.5, 3/4, and then 21.5 in that area. Nice chart. Maybe the beginning of a bigger move. We'll see. In the gold sector, gold is obviously very hot. We'll look at some of them today. AEM had the big 1, 2, and wave 3 started, which should lead to 80 to low 80s, 82, 84. AEYE, beautiful rising channel, then a pullback. It broke out and now it's platforming. Keep an eye on it. I don't want it under Friday's low. Anything under 1840 would be a stop for me. But if it goes 22.5, 3/4, 24 3/4, and 29.30 would be potential extension targets. Another junior biotechs are hot. This one's gone 1, 2 coil, 3, 4 coil. And if we get a 5th wave, look out. This thing could be 8 to 10 points higher. There's a double top there. That would be my first target, 20. So 20 and 22 and maybe 25 would be targets on extension. If this breaks out, it should be a swing. AGI in the gold sector, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a pullback, and now another breakout. Minimum target for me, 19.5, 20, and then low 20s. AGIO in the biotech sector, nice long base formed. There's your breakaway gap retest, explosive move and falling wedge, looking for 55. ALNY, major breakaway gap and just completely going vertical. This is a phenomenal chart. Target 285. AMD, we talked about earlier. AMRX, MNeil has had a wonderful chart since it was a year ago, a year and change. It was down at 124, folks, and it's trading over 7. Did have a reversal day of a negative nature on Friday, but longer term tells me, longer term chart says 9, 9.5. AMSC in the semiconductor group, or not quite semiconductor, it's more of a tech stock. After breaking out, running and flagging, it's breaking out yet again. Now my target was 30, which is right near there. We get through that, we could see mid-30s, but momentum is strong on this one. AORT in the medical device group, pop, flagged, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 waves. The stock's had a really strong move, and it doesn't look done yet, quite frankly. 29 target, beyond that, 32. Arlo breaks out of a base, pulls back, and waves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as well, and a little flag up here. Now, it's at the top of the channel, so it may pull back, but if it does extend, 19 target. ASNS exploded a month ago, 5, 6 weeks ago, pulled back, then spiked, pulled back, spiked, pulled back. It's at the apex of a large wedge. If it pops, I'm looking for 2 3/4 and 4. ASPN, a beautiful rising channel over the last year. And you can see continues. It's bounced off support, targeting 32 and 37. ASTS, wonderful breakaway gap. 3-day pullback, falling wedge. Spike up, rising flag. We have a swing on this one. Then made it up to my target zone near 12.5. Pull back down, and now Friday closed at 12.80, up 90 cents. This one looks like it's going to extend. If it does, I'm looking for 20. 16 and 20 are your targets going forward. AU in the gold sector, my favorite gold long term, has built a monster base that can support a huge move. Eventually, I'm looking for a stock that trades in the mid 30s and high 40s. BCRX broke out of a long term downtrend and is platforming. Thursday was a breakout. Friday was a mini follow through. I'm looking for this stock to make a move to test those highs up there around 7 3/4, and then 9. The biggest purveyor of uranium in the world, I believe, is CCJ, and the stock has gone in the last 3 years from 6 to the recent high at 56. 6 to 56. More than 9-fold increase. Recently breaking out, inside day, a little consolidation day on Friday. Your targets are 56 and 62. Junior gold miner Corz, CDE, popped, wedged, popped, flag, and it's popping it again. Extension target now is 8. NDX-X, beautiful inverse head and shoulders. This is a tech traded swing, a breakaway gap, and a wedge. Tell you what, it's moving again, and if it gets above 17, I'm looking at 20 and 23. Aluminum stock CENX breaks out of a base, pulls back. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5th wave is underway. This is a 1, 2. I'm looking for 3, 4, and 5 to get this into the high 20s to 30. Colgate-Palmolive, wonderful blue chip, phenomenal chart, 67 and 98, and it doesn't look done yet. Long-term chart shows lots of room to run. Keep an eye on this one. CLS Celestica, fantastic chart, just in a year and 2 months, 1070 to 60. Top of the channel tells me that if we continue this, the minimum target will be about mid-70s. Core, a tech traded swing. It broke out and popped, wedged, and then went from 64 to 80. Angle of ascent says it's a $100 stock. CORZ breaks out of a base and goes vertical. What a move from mid-April with a low of 261 to 1070, quadrupling, and now the coil. Folks, if this breaks above that coil, if it gets out above 11, it might go vertical to 13, 14. That's my take. Koya, I'm convinced that the long-term this is a great long-term play in the biotech sector that had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave decline and now it's moved back up to test resistance. If it gets to 785, my targets are at 10, 10.5, and then I'm looking for 13, 14. CRBP, pop, pull back, coil, run up flag, continuing to move. Target 85. That's a big one. Credo, breakaway pop, pull back. This one's a old tech trader swing from back in here. I like this look for more upside. Right now, support around 29.5. Angle of ascent calls for a move to 35. CRNX, Granetics, long-term rising channel. When it popped here and pulled back, we gave you a buy a long time ago. That's gone from 23 to 53. Long-term chart angle says the possibilities are this could be $65 stock. Criteo, breakaway gap and wedge. We put a swing on it. The stock's moved up nicely, steadily, slowly. Not getting too far ahead of itself, and now recently breaking out. My target is 44.5. Carvana, amazing move. A year and a half ago, the stock was in the threes. It's now 137. The target, 185. DRS, this aerospace company and a beautiful rising channel has been so for more than a year and a half. Extension target would be about 28. DYN, breaking out of a coil and moving with a target now in the mid-50s. Great looking chart. EBS, tech trader swing when it popped and wedge as it got moved up beautifully. It continues to press higher, reaching near 11 on Friday. My target's at 13 and 16. EGO in the gold sector. This junior gold is as strong as any of them, making new multi-year highs. Currently at resistance, we break through here, looking at a $20 stock. NVDA breaks a long-term downtrend, forms a wedge. Coil, breakout, retest, explosive move, another flag, and there we go, targeting 21 and 23.5. EWTX breaks out and flags. Good technicals. I think it's a stock that wants to be high 20s. EXK, the junior silver stock with a 1, 2, 3, 4, and fifth waves underway. I think it reaches 5 3/4, 6. Forward air. After a long, ugly decline that saw this go from 125 down to 10, 11. It's at a B bottom, a coil, and look at the breakout last week. I think the stock has designs on being, let's see, here's my targets going forward. 26 and 32. This should be a tech trader swing. I might do that. Gato, the Mexican silver stock, popped out of a falling wedge. Looks like an extension to the 15, 16 ranges due. Geo, tech trader swing from back in October when it was 7 3/4, doubled to over 16, more than that, and then twice tested the 12.5 area successfully. Last week, popped through some resistance and is testing its April high, which was 1631. A high on Friday, 1631. Double top? No. I think it goes through that. Targeting 18. GERN. Major pop, run up, retest, and then exploded with a falling wedge following. Now it looks like it's ready for another leg. This looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Fifth wave target, 6, 6.5. Corning breaks out of a major base, breaks to key resistance, and it's probably going to test the highs from early 21 when it reached 46. It's right there, and through that, we may see low 50s. Halozyme breaks the base, pops, forms an ascending bull wedge or coil, and breaks out and is stalled here, flagging. I'm looking for 59, everyone. HEPS, look at this base. Breakout, retest. Holds, breaks through, runs up, 3-day wedge, spikes on Friday. Can't tell where this goes, but I can tell you that there's some strong possibilities. Number one, we just went through key resistance here. It's a possibility we see 5 3/4 on this stock. HIMS, breakaway gap, retest, breakaway move, spike to the channel top, pull back and test. Now looking for 30. HIMX breaks out of a base, flags, spikes, retests, forms a wedge, and bounces. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, folks. You can see the angle is so sharp that should it extend, this might be a $10 stock, maybe more. Hard to keep up that sharp an angle, but look at the way it looks. Hood, nice rising channel. This is the breakout, the coil, and another coil. if it does break above 24, 28 is your target. Harrow tech trader swing broke out. We put a swing on it and then went from 14 and change to 24. High at 24.41, reversed 80 cents on Friday. It is near resistance here, but your next target is going to be 27.8. IDYA popped early last week and pulled back and then went right back up to the highs. If it breaks through here, 44, 48, and 52 are targets. IMMR, beautiful base, breakout, retest, held at 50, held price support, ran right back to the highs. 11 3/4 and 13 are your next targets on this one. INOD, breakaway gap, flag. This is a tech trader swing as well. It then ran, pulled back, ran again, and now flagging. Targeting 19 and 23. INSM, look at this breakout. A massive gap, a flag, a rising channel, a pullback. Overall pattern tells me this is a $100 stock. IVP explodes last week, the week before actually, going from 123 to Friday's high of 14. Yeah, that's right. About 11-fold increase just in a week and a half. So it's a dangerously overbought stock, but the momentum and the thrust that you get off a low like that usually leads to higher levels. So my intermediate target would be mid-teens and then high teens for starters. Jemiah Flyer. Wow, look at this baby. 9 days in a row from this falling wedge down at 668. It spikes to 1320. Doubles in 9 days. Is it overbought? Of course. Is it near resistance? Yes. Can it break through? Yeah. And if it does, I'd like to see a pullback, but if it does pull back, the targets are going to be high teens, 17, 18. Now, Joby broke out. We put a swing as soon as it broke out at 564. It closed 663, so it was a nice extension in a day and a half. Now, my target would be 7.5. LBPH, well, it exploded in January and took 6 months to consolidate, but when it broke out, indeed, 1564 to 40.5. Now, I don't know how much more it's got, but I wouldn't be surprised to see 50, 55 on this one. Lucid broke a long-term downtrend, came through a base pattern, and then spiked through secondary resistance. Very nice. Extension target is 5.5. LGVN exploded, falling wedge, held to 50, and the moving averages crossed over, and then it spiked again. The 2-day pullback has it near the prior highs. There is some support in here. We had a reversal. I don't want to see it below 360, but the targets are 6, 6.5, and 8. Laird Superfoods, pop, falling wedge, pop, another little mini one. There's your breakout. We put a swing on it. It then ran, flagged, it popped, and pulled back. So it's right on support, but my target, believe it or not, is $8. Marathon Digital, long-term uptrend intact. It's at the apex of a large coil. If Bitcoin has any extension, this flies above 23, the target to 28 and 33. MEDS exploded in February and March and literally went from 4 to 40 some odd. 4 to 44, amazing, 11-fold increase. Big drop over the next few months, got all the way back down to 5 and change, base down and broke out. Wedged, popped, retested, popped, and now flagging. And it just gets to this flag. My target's mid-20s. Let's keep an eye on this one next week for a day trade. NESO, major breakaway gap, run, and pull back. Do about a 0.375 fib retracement, and then run up and coil for 2 months. Breaks out and flags. Boy, does this look ready to go too. If Mazel Bless gets to 866, my target is 10. ML, one of our better swing trades this year that ran from the 30s to 106. Tripled and then some. If rising channels intact, it pulled back. It's sitting here underneath the moving average, so I'm a little concerned. I need to get this quickly back over 80. If you see that, the target's on 90 and 100 again. 3M is a tech trader swing when it broke out and then pulled back and popped, and then it pulled back again to test the channel bottom and broke out on Thursday, Friday. My target's 111 and 118. Newmont Mining, one of the major goals, has broken out. First through the declining top sign, and formed the consolidation near the moving averages, and a wedge right there, or a coil, I should say. Broke out of the coil and went vertical. Now, I don't know how far they take this, but I'm looking at targets up here at 55. NNE, recent IPO, spiked, or maybe a spinoff, I'm not sure about it. Spiked, pulled back, formed a beautiful coil, and exploded, and now is flagging or wedging in this area. I do not want this below 22. The target's at 33 and 45. Nanox had a great week, moving from 680 to 924 and closing right at the declining top sign. They moved through here, and this stock could run right into that 11 range. That's my next target. NRIX, beautiful long-term chart, literally gone from 4 to 24, sixfold. Recently popped out, pulled back and tested, and ran up and broke out. On Friday, it broke out. Now could lead to high 20s. NTRA, a long-term tech traded swing, broke out, pop. Look at this long move up. My near-term projection is for this to go to 125. OCUL, V-bottom with a platform and then a flag and a breakout, targeting 10. OUST, long-term base, breakout, retest, pop, falling channel, breakaway gap above the moving, breakaway move, I should say, above the moving average. Last week was great. It was up every day, going from 960 to near 14, where there's resistance. You get through here, your target's 1920. Pitney Bowes formed the base over the course of a year and a half, finally broke out and then did a three-wave corrected pullback flag and then broke out again. I love the way this looks. I think 7 3/4 and then 9 are targets. Impinj, breakaway gap. We put a swing on it. This is way back in October, November when it was in the high 50s. It more than tripled to 175. Pulled back into the 145 area, double bottom, and now is moving back up again. I don't know how far they take this, but I can see 200 or better. Pulse, beautiful rising channel, broke out last week. I think the stock has designs and making a move towards 30. Palantir, nice rising channel, goes through pops and periods of pullback consolidation. Right now it's in a surging angle of ascent that could lead to 33. Poet in the semiconductor group, breakout, pullback retest, breakout again, a wedge. Now, I'm not sure how far they can take this one either. I can always point out where resistance is right here. And to get to that, we're probably looking at 5 3/4, 6. QS with a breakaway gap on Thursday and a big follow through Friday. I like this overall look for a move to test the $10 range. QURV exploded 2 days in a row and literally went from 3 3/4 to 11 and change. The 2-day pullback indicates it might need some time to consolidate, but the next target is 12.5. RDW, red wire, beautiful base. Breakout flag, pop, falling wedge, pop, little flag, and pop again. Targeting 9, 9 1/4. REF fart in the junior tech sector, electronic components, base breakout wedge, pop, long consolidation. I would call that a wedge as well. And we broke out, I think, Friday, although it needs to get above 240, 42 to really run. If so, my target's going to be 3.5 and 4. RGS, explosive gap and breakaway move. Literally saw it go from 4 to 24 in a day, and now it's coiling. May need some more rest, but the target's at 25 and 30. Rivian, pop, pull back. We put a swing on it. It's worked out well. It's gone from 13 and change to 19 almost. 1885 on Friday's high. I like this overall inverse head and shoulder breakaway gap, wedge, and go. Now looking for a move to 23. RNA, one of my best swings of the year. Popped, pulled out, we put a swing on it. It went from 7 3/4 to 45. No kidding. Where's it going to now? I'm not kidding when I say mid-60s is still a possibility. 20 more points. Root was a fantastic swing for us at 14 3/4 into the 80s in a very short period of time. Now a long falling pattern has been broken to the upside again. A test of 82, 85 area is probably due. Run in the solar sector, a little choppy, but the last week and a half is spectacular. Literally 10.5 to 17.5. That's right at resistance. So we get through here. Our next target will be a retest of that level at $20. Resolute, steady as she goes. Pullback tested these highs, and it's moving again. Targeting 6 and 8. Sprouts Family Markets, a rising channel with stops along the way. Nice flag there, nice little falling wedge there. It's back to resistance here. This gets to that level, and it reverts right to it on Friday. My target's in mid-90s. SGHT breakout, we put a swing on it and then extended, but backed off Friday. Still looking for $9. SMR stellar chart, up another 225 Friday. Just since April, when it was forming a wedge, it's gone from 460 to 1531, more than tripling. Extension targets, well, if it gets through here, you might see it spike into the high teens. SOI. One of my institutional clients wrote a report on this one, and he's very high and has a great track record. And boy, did that stock go with that. 824 to 1243 at 50% pop in 3 days. Look for a pullback entry up. In my opinion, anything around 11.5 might be an entry. The targets are 14 and 18. SOUN 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a pullback. A three-wave corrective wedge. Very tight coil. Exploded last week from 387 to 645. My extension target is 7.5 and 9 3/4. That could be powerful. Keep an eye on that one. SRTS. You may remember how we did well with it, and then it broke down one day on earnings and just had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave collapse, literally taking it from mid-teens to 2. I think the low was 179. Well, here we are at 620 and a 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth wave may have started. Target 8 and 10. TERN broke out of a base on Friday. I know that some of you noticed that. I heard it on the website, the site. Through here, I'm looking for a run that takes it to 12.5. TEBA, beautiful chart, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we may be breaking out of this if we do. 19.5 and 21 are targets. Tandem has been in a beautiful rising channel, and I believe it just tagged and bounced off support. Retesting the high at 53 and then 59 to 70 in that range would be extension targets. Tudor Perini broke out of a base, breakaway gap, and a beautiful rising channel. A 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth wave started. I'm looking for a move to 29.30. Taiwan Semi in a rising channel and a beauty, targeting a mid-40s extension. Uber popped, broke out of the folding channel, but couldn't get the resistance. I'll tell you what, this gets to 74, 78, 82, and 85 type targets. Vista Oil and Gas has been phenomenal for 3 years now, and it's literally gone from 2 to 48. How much further? Channel angle tells me mid-50s. VRNS, also similar long-term rising channel. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth wave may be underway. First, we got to take out 52, and then we're looking at mid-60s. VRRM has been phenomenal as well. It's gone from 13 to 29. New all-time high, I believe. Let's see. Yep. And extension on this one might be 31. WGS Tech Trader Swing has been phenomenal, and it continues to look good. A move through Friday's high at 34 3/4 should get you 39.40. Wolf, after a beautiful run, it saw go from 1.5 to 4.5, and then pull back down and consolidate for several months. It tried to bounce Thursday. Keep an eye on this one. Move through 4. Once you see that, I would look for 5.5. WULF breaks out of a base and continues to run. And right now, my extension target is 7 3/4. Zap, pop, wedge, explosive pullback. I'm not sure how far they take this, but the momentum could carry this into the low to mid-20s. Zeta Global is a tech trader swing that I gave you when it popped and then pulled back, but boy, did it ever go. Now for the last month, or even 2, it's been consolidating and setting up for a move into the low 20s. And folks, that's pretty much it. I do want to go over the box of shorts at this point just to give you an idea of what we're looking at. But Akamai for me is a cover because it broke back out over the moving averages. But it was a beautiful tech trader swing short that saw it go from 112 down to 85. AMIN also bounced Friday like many stocks did in the bullish phase, but it still looks very negative with a downside target of 43. AMWD broke down and snapped back to the neckline. This is where it needs to fail. If it doesn't fail here, cover and move aside. BBWI broke its support line and it's been in a downtrend ever since with very little bounce. I'm not sure where it goes, but I can tell you this. It feels like high 20s. BRZE also bounces back. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4. It does appear to be poised to go one way or another pretty quickly. So you cover your shorts if you see it run over 41 or so. And now if it rolls over, 33 and 30 are targets. CDW also snapped back after breaking down and testing support. There's a triple bottom there. So you want to cover this one over 235. Dash did break down, but testing the trend line. I'll tell you what, if it gets any further than that, if this thing breaks there, we're looking at 94 and 84. Disney looks terrible, has not participated at all in this market, but is near support, so it may bounce in here. Nevertheless, further downside could take it to 88, 89. GitLab, another tech stock that bounced along with the tech group, and now is either a wave 4 rising wedge that's going to fail right there and roll over to 38.40, or at this point, cover over 53.5. INFA breaks down from a bear flag. It doesn't look good, although it bounced Friday. It bounced off of a support level. Still looks lower to me, 25 target. INMD bounced on Friday, but it looks lousy, although it is at support as well. JBL snapped back a bit to the moving average. Still in the confines of an overall declining channel. The stop's over 125. The target's 103.98. MDB bounced along, and look, the stock did a 1-2 and a big down 3. So all the bounce did was take it to mid-channel, which is weak. What you want to see is to take out Wednesday's low of 237 and drop down to 225 and 195. The stop would be over 272. RH snapped back as well. Looked like the head and shoulder breakdown and rising wedge was going to fail. Instead, it gapped up. Squeeze the shorts. SIG still looks lousy, and even on Friday it dropped another $1.93. I think this eventually collapses, 76 and 65. SMTC broke back out. This is too dangerous to be short in my opinion, so I'm eliminating it. TNET did bounce as well off of a gap and price support, but unless it has a dramatic movement here, it could roll over and see 89. Depends on the market, of course, I think. And finally, Yelp looks lousy. It just can't bounce much. It's been down ever since it was 48.9, dropped down to 34.5. My target's to 33 and 31. Let's look at all the technicals, indices, the underlying Nasdaq 100 components. So some of the larger ETFs we follow closely, which indicate market strength and weakness. And a list of over 100 stocks long and 30 short, something like that, 25 short. So pretty in-depth analysis for you. I hope you guys get a chance to review this in depth, maybe a couple times, get an idea of what may work for you next week or where your support and resistance is on some of the stocks we talked about today. In any case, I will talk to you Monday morning. You have a great rest of your weekend. This is HB out. Take it easy.